So this is $300,000 of my own money, and I'm about to do something incredibly stupid with it. I'm walking into the offices of 3 financial advisors with a hidden camera on a mission to expose the biggest, most expensive lie on Wall Street. A lie that could be quietly draining your retirement account right now. Some of these folks are going to help me, and some are going to try to take me for every penny.
The setup was simple. I went completely undercover. I gave each of them the exact same story, the same life goal, and 100 grand to manage. What I discovered is a secret so costly, it's the difference between you retiring on a beach with a drink in your hand or being stuck at your desk until you're 80. And the craziest part, most of us are falling for it without a clue.
Did you hear that? Insignificant. That's what one of them actually told me, to my face. Well, you are about to see how that one single, insignificant word can vaporize your dreams and chain you to your job for the rest of your life.
And here's the thing, we are all in the dark together on this. A study found that a wild 85% of people have no idea how the person managing their entire life savings actually gets paid. Think about that for a second. You wouldn't hire a plumber without asking what they charge, right? So why are we handing over our entire future with our eyes squeezed shut?
So, welcome to the first ever Financial Advisor Battle Royale. We are about to blow the lid off this thing. And hey, if you want to see more insane experiments where I put my own money on the line to find the truth, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It is the only fee you'll ever find here. All right, let the games begin.
Okay, so how on earth is this even possible? How does an entire industry get away with this, and how do so many smart people get taken for a ride? Well, it all comes down to one simple and ridiculously expensive little problem. It's called the knowledge gap. And just look at this ridiculously nerdy definition: information asymmetry. Seriously, that sounds like a terrible superpower for a rejected comic book villain. All it really means is they know more than you do. And for decades, that gap has been the perfect breeding ground for hidden fees and truly terrible advice. And if you want to know just how dangerous this gap is, check this out. A massive study found that a full 25% of investors, that's 1 in 4 people with an advisor, believed they paid exactly $0 for their services. Nothing. That is a level of denial that is costing people an absolute fortune.
So I decided to walk right into the lion's den with 300 grand of my own cash. I tracked down 3 different advisors who represent the 3 main ways this whole game is played. And this is where it gets absolutely wild.
All right, let's meet our contestants. In this corner, we've got the commission-based broker. Think of him as the used car salesman of Wall Street. You know the type. And in this corner, the fee-only fiduciary. This person is supposed to be like your doctor, sworn to do no harm. We'll see about that.
And this is the absolute key to everything. A fiduciary is legally, like go to jail legally, required to act in your best interest. They have what's called undivided loyalty. A salesperson, on the other hand, just has to sell you something suitable. Suitable is one of the most expensive words in finance. Look, a 1998 Honda Civic is suitable transportation. So is a brand new Ferrari. See the difference?
And then, just to make things as confusing as humanly possible, we have contestant number 3, the hybrid guy. This person is a financial shapeshifter. One minute, they're your fiduciary best friend, acting in your best interest. The next minute, they've put on their salesperson hat and are selling you something with a massive hidden commission. It's basically a license to print money. For them.
So the mission I gave each of them was exactly the same. Hey, I've got 100 grand. I want to retire in about 20 years. What should I do? Super simple, super common goal. How hard could it be to get some straight answers? Yeah, famous last words.
Okay, it's time. Let's roll the hidden camera footage. First up, the broker. I walked in, my heart's kind of pounding, the camera's rolling, and I laid out my goal. And man, this guy was smooth. He had an answer for me so fast, it was honestly a little scary.
He looks me right in the eye and says, "This mutual fund is a top performer. It's a perfect fit for your goals." Sounds awesome, right? He showed me all these impressive-looking charts, great track record. What could possibly be wrong with that? Turns out, everything.
Yeah, the one tiny detail he kind of forgot to mention was the commission. See, the reason he's so excited about that specific fund is because he gets a massive slice of my money right off the top just for selling it to me. This creates an insane conflict of interest. Is he picking it because it's best for me or because it pays for his next vacation? A huge chunk of my 100 grand never even makes it into the stock market. It goes straight into his bank account.
All right, next up, I walked into the office of the hybrid advisor, the sheep shifter. I was really hoping for something different, but seriously, within 5 minutes, it felt like I was having the exact same conversation all over again.
He hits me with all this jargon like we use a mix of fee-based planning and top-tier insurance products. It sounds super professional, but let me give you the secret decoder ring. Insurance products is almost always Wall Street code for things that pay me a ridiculously high, totally hidden commission. He had switched from his fiduciary hat to his salesperson hat, and let me tell you, it was a very, very expensive hat.
Okay, so at this point, I'm 2 for 2. 2 advisors, 2 terrible plans. I'm honestly starting to think this whole experiment was a massive mistake, and I'm just going to set a giant pile of my money on fire. My last hope was the true fee-only fiduciary. I walked in, bracing myself for another slick sales pitch. But the whole vibe was just different.
Instead of a glossy brochure, he hands me this. It's called a Form ADV. And look, it is ugly, it's boring, it's full of legal jargon, but buried deep inside is this one sentence. This is the magic phrase. When we act as your investment advisor, we have to act in your best interest. That right there is a legally binding promise, something neither of the other 2 guys ever mentioned. All right, I've got the 3 proposals in hand, the broker's plan, the hybrid's plan, and the fiduciary's plan. Now it's time for the moment of truth. I took all 3 plans to an independent expert, think of him like a financial crime scene investigator, to audit them and tell me what the real, total, no BS cost was going to be. But first, we need a baseline. Like, what's a normal fee to pay? Well, the data shows that for a portfolio my size, a fair price is around 1.12% a year. Let's call that our not getting totally ripped off benchmark. Now, let's see how our contestants stacked up. And here it is. Oh my God, just look at this table. The broker's plan, it was going to cost me over 5 grand in fees in the first year alone. The hybrid guy was even worse. But the fiduciary, a simple, clean, transparent fee right on the benchmark. Over 20 years, that difference, it's not just a few bucks. It is a staggering, life-altering amount of money. So what the heck happened? Why was the advice from the first 2 guys so bad for me, but so great for them? This Yale professor, Dalian Kane, absolutely nailed it. Conflicts of interest are a cancer on objectivity. The second somebody is paid more to sell you option A over option B, the game is rigged. You've already lost. And that's why those fiduciary duties are so important. Let's forget the legal mumbo-jumbo for a second. Here's what it actually means, in plain English. 1, they have to put you first, always. 2, they have to be honest. 3, they have to actually know what they're talking about. 4, they must avoid these toxic conflicts. 5, they have to tell you everything. And number 6, the big one, they must control your costs. The first 2 guys I met, they failed on almost every single one of those. So, after all this whole hidden camera, $300,000 insane experiment, it all boils down to one simple idea. One word that separates a great financial plan from a complete disaster. And this is what that difference looks like. On the left, you've got the broker's plan, this complicated mess of expensive funds that's really only designed to do one thing, make him money through commissions. On the right, the fiduciary's plan, simple, clean, low cost. One of these is a machine built to make your advisor rich. The other is a machine built to make you rich. It's that simple. And here it is, the final bill, the grand total for getting bad advice. Over my 20-year retirement timeline, going with the broker instead of the fiduciary would have cost me an extra $147,582. That's not a rounding error. That's a house down payment. That's your kid's college education. It's a life-changing amount of money that would have just vanished, gone. Okay, so how do you make sure this never happens to you? It's actually way simpler than you think. First, you ask them, point blank, are you a fiduciary 100% of the time? If they squirm or hesitate, you walk out. Second, get that promise in writing. Third, ask to see that super boring document, the Form ADV. Fourth, make them draw you a picture of exactly how they get paid. And finally, my personal favorite rule, if it seems confusing, it's because they want it to be confusing. Confusion is where they hide the fees. You see, the biggest, most expensive secret in all of finance isn't some crazy trading algorithm. It's just knowing the difference between someone who's your partner and someone who's a salesperson. So now that you know the secret, the only question left is, what are you going to do about it?